Finally, the power came together, taking the shape of a giant divine axe made of pure golden and light blue energy, crackling with power. Meanwhile, Su Jingying arrived and stopped suddenly when she saw the amazing sight. She watched in total disbelief, seeing that the mysterious person was about to swing the divine axe he had just created. His level of control was incredible. She wondered how anyone could command so much spiritual energy with such perfect skill and steadiness, asking herself if this man had secretly been training for centuries. The sight brought back a painful memory. Su Qingying remembered her own attempt to break through to the Ghost Axe 2-star level. The pressure from her own divine axe had been too much for her, pushing back and making her cough up blood. It left her stuck in bed for a full week. She was naturally strong, but she had still failed badly. She couldn't understand how this monster could handle a breakthrough that was so much more powerful than hers. As she ran closer, she was even more amazed. The huge amount of spiritual energy, the perfect control in every move of the axe, and the way every bit of power seemed to have been purified thousands of times. It was all beyond anything she had ever seen. She decided that this person wasn't just an amazing monster. He was like a god who had come down from the sky. She also noticed his calm and steady way of doing things. Most pioneers, when they felt a breakthrough was about to happen, would rush to get it done. This person, however, moved with a deep sense of experience and a strong mind, like a master from old times. Her thoughts were stopped when the giant, fiery divine axe began to move. She watched the awesome sight as it swung with a purpose, heading east. At the peak of his power, Fang Yi's eyes burned with pure golden light as cracks of raw energy spread across his face. He floated inside a blinding storm of golden power, successfully controlling the huge amount of energy he had gathered to evolve. A system window then appeared, officially confirming he had succeeded. He had reached the Ghost Axe realm, 2-star. The new divine axe slammed down into the earth, releasing all of its power in one huge shockwave that tore across the mountain. Su Qingying was caught in the powerful blast and had to hold herself steady against the wave of golden energy. The leftover force cut a huge path through the forest before fading away, but when she looked up, the mysterious man had completely disappeared. Breathing hard from the effort and her frustration, Su Qingying couldn't believe she had missed him again, especially since she had arrived in only 30 seconds. A worrying thought came to her. He must have known that she was tracking him. She worried that if he stayed this hard to find, her mission to recruit him would be impossible. Just as she was about to give up, she paused. A sudden idea hit her. She looked away from the path of destruction and toward a giant old tree that was now glowing with a soft, leftover golden light. With a new feeling of certainty, she called out into the woods that seemed empty, calling him Senior and asking if he was still in the area. From the shadows of the forest, Fang Yi appeared, his hooded body giving off a cool confidence. His glowing red eyes were on Su Qingying. He immediately knew she was the person who had been looking into him for the past few days. Seeing she had been found, Su Qingying stood her ground and properly introduced herself. She said she was the captain of the Firefly Squad, a part of the Spiritual Practitioners Association of Xia Nation, and also one of the nation's first pioneers. On behalf of the association, she sincerely invited him to join them. She admitted she had been following him for 2 days and hoped her methods hadn't made him think badly of her. As she spoke, Fang Yi stayed quiet, and his face was hard to read under his hood. Su Qingying added that while the public didn't know yet, all the official papers for the association were ready. Inside, however, she was very nervous, choosing her words carefully, and worrying if she was bothering him or making the powerful man angry. She knew she had to sound soft and respectful. Her carefully planned speech was cut short by Fang Yi's simple, direct question. "Why should I join?" The direct question surprised her completely. She stuttered for a moment, panicking over what to say. She quickly saw that empty, nice words would be useless against someone so smart. The truth was her only choice. Pulling herself together, she explained what the association was for. She told him that the Xia Nation wanted to gather and unite all the early pioneers, to guide them on an organized path and also give them extra protection. She knew that growth was messy right now, and that an association might feel like a cage to a free spirit like him. But she asked him to look at the bigger picture. A great return of spiritual energy was coming, and they would all need to stand together to face the unknown enemies of the future. After listening to her passionate speech, Fang Yi leaned casually against a tree, looking tired and uninterested. He told her plainly that he was not willing to join. He explained that, for now, he still couldn't bring himself to fully trust her or the association she represented. Su Qingying was left completely stunned and speechless by his direct refusal, her eyes wide with shock. Facing his refusal, Su Qingying grew desperate. She quickly pulled out her identification card from her jacket. Holding it up for him to see, she quickly introduced herself again as Su Qingying and mentioned she used to be a well-known athlete before the spiritual energy returned. She begged him to believe her, hoping her public identity would give him a reason to trust her. Fang Yi paused and thought about her words. He touched his chin thoughtfully, saying that he now vaguely remembered her. His mind remembered a framed picture of her celebrating a victory as the runner-up in the Sia Nations long-distance championship. He realized her natural athletic skill was what made her such a fast and good pioneer. However, his face then became hard. A dark memory from his previous life came to mind, showing a vision of a ruined city. He knew that in his original timeline, the Sia Nation's work, including the association, had failed in the end, leading to the end of humanity. Now that he had returned with his system, he knew he had to be part of the solution, but joining the association at this point was not the right move. Putting on a more thoughtful look, he looked back at a hopeful Su Qingying and confirmed that he did remember her. He told her he would think about her offer, and before she could answer, he jumped into the air and sped away from the spot. Just as quickly, he reappeared right behind a startled Su Qingying. He gave her a firm condition: she must keep his location a secret from everyone for now. In his mind, he studied her respectful behavior and guessed that the association was careful about upsetting powerful pioneers who weren't with them. He saw this as a weakness he could use. Su Qingying suggested a deal. She explained that the association had detected the energy from his breakthrough and that she had to file a report. She suggested sending a report that was a mix of truth and lies to protect his identity while keeping her bosses happy. After a moment of thought, Fang Yi agreed to her plan. Su Qingying tried to call out to Fang Yi as he agreed to her plan, but in the blink of an eye, he was gone. She ran down the mountain slope after him, but it was no use. Tired and annoyed, she walked alone on a forest path, muttering in frustration about how many times she had failed to catch him and how he was now trying to avoid her. She sighed, complaining about the tiring work of erasing the powerful energy signs he left behind after every incident. Her thoughts were cut short by a voice in her earpiece, telling her to stop worrying about the hard-to-find pioneer and remember the mission she was on. The voice seriously told her that the strange creatures had appeared again. Su Qingying froze, her eyes wide with shock as she asked if they were really back. A scary memory flooded her mind, showing her surrounded by a crowd of terrifying wolf-like creatures with bloody mouths and glowing red eyes. She thought to herself that she would never forget those strange, bloody beasts. The story explained what they were: cold, evil, and bloodthirsty monsters born from the pollution zones made by the spiritual energy's return. They got power from these zones, turning into monsters that ate humans. Some could even hide as natural disasters, killing anyone as they split up lands and made new pollution zones. If they weren't stopped, their very destructive nature would let them keep eating the human world until nothing was left. A heavy storm suddenly hit the city. The night sky wasn't lit by streetlights, but by constant, violent flashes of lightning. Rain poured down, and red alerts lit up people's phones, warning of the severe thunderstorm and telling everyone to stay inside. Another alert announced that the Yuhuang Mountain area was closed because of flooding risks. From their windows, people commented they hadn't seen a storm this bad in years, with some joking that a powerful being might be facing a lightning trial nearby. Hidden in a rainy alley, Fang Yi watched the storm grimly, his red eye glowing. He could feel the huge amount of lightning energy in the air, recognizing its wild power. He knew this was no ordinary storm but another anomaly, with its power focused on a single point. His eyes scanned past the city buildings and locked onto a distant mountain peak that was being hit by lightning again and again. He had found the center of the storm. Without hesitating, Fang Yi raced into the downpour, leaping across rooftops as he sped toward the mountain. When Fang Yi reached the base of Yuhuang Mountain, his system immediately confirmed a pollution zone was detected. He looked up at the peak, but instead of its usual beauty, he saw a grim scene with skeletal remains scattered among twisted trees. Another system notice added to the danger, stating the pollution level was unknown. Still, Fang Yi moved forward without hesitating, walking into the dark, stormy woods with a determined look. As he got closer to the center of the storm, he saw a massive bolt of blue lightning strike the mountain's summit, lighting up the whole area. He had found his target. Inside the Spiritual Practitioners Association's command center, officials held a tense meeting. A large screen showed a vortex of blue energy over a mountain peak. An official reported that the danger on Mount Yuhuang was rising quickly, so they had to close it off and call it a new contamination zone. The grim-faced association leader said the situation was so critical, he had to pull Su Qingying from another important mission. He asked her to report on what was happening. Su Qingying told the officials that it was currently impossible to climb the mountain, as the unstable thunder energy was about to explode. Because of this, the area was officially classified as an A-level contamination zone. She continued with more worrying news. Based on how fast the energy was growing, the mountain would soon be an S-level threat, which would start their highest emergency plan. But she pointed out a major problem. Based on their data, no explorer they had could safely get near the area, admitting that not even she could handle it. A wave of shock went through the room, as calculations showed the mission would mean certain death even for highly advanced explorers. Facing this impossible situation, a man in a security uniform ordered the foot of Mount Yuhuang to be completely sealed off, with patrols sent out 24/7 to stop anyone from trying to climb it. The association leader firmly agreed. He declared they had to stop the threat by sealing the mountain and that no one could go near it until the energy concentration dropped. While the association thought Mount Yuhuang was too dangerous, Fang Yi was already deep inside the zone. Huge bolts of blue lightning crashed down around him. As the storm raged, Fang Yi stood firm, protected by a golden aura from his breathing technique. He knew, however, that just surviving the storm wasn't enough. To get the purest thunder energy, he had to climb to the center of the storm at the mountain's peak. His decision was fueled by dark memories of the past. He knew that the creatures they faced now were just the beginning, and even more terrifying monsters would appear in the future. He realized that his current fire-based powers were not enough for the challenges to come. He had to become stronger himself, not just rely on his weapon. Surrounded by the lightning, Fang Yi saw a rare and perfect opportunity to use the thunder energy to strengthen his own body. Fang Yi knew if he didn't take this chance to get stronger, he would face certain death from the disasters to come. His eyes glowing gold, he drew his flaming sword and, with a defiant roar, plunged it directly into a massive bolt of blue lightning. The wild energy surged through him, causing terrible pain, but his face remained determined. His body shook violently as the electricity coursed through him. He realized this thunder power was like a divine punishment, actively fighting against him. The storm was furious that he had entered its territory and seemed to demand that he give up. Staring at the chaotic sky, he wondered how he could possibly make such a raw force obey him. Then, he had an idea. He calmed himself and remembered his system's rule. To get a power, he had to touch the energy source. A golden aura exploded from him as he unleashed his golden sun breathing technique, determined to fight through the storm. With a loud roar, Fang Yi pushed forward, using his flaming sword to cut a path through the storm of blue lightning. The clash of his golden energy against the raw storm created a huge, chaotic explosion. Blood trickled from his mouth from the strain, but his eyes burned with determination. He knew this was a desperate gamble where he had to push himself to his limit, facing death in order to live. Finally, after a hard struggle, he reached the peak. He plunged his sword into the ground, cracking the rock as he arrived at the center of the storm. Here, the power was even more terrifying, a violent flood of thunder energy that made it hard to even breathe. He felt the storm's full attention on him and realized it no longer just wanted to push him away, it wanted to kill him. As if to prove it, the storm gathered its full power and shot a single, massive beam of white-hot lightning directly at him, an attack meant to completely destroy him. As Fang Yi faced the storm's final attack, his system activated, detecting a powerful thunder attribute and starting to process it. Far below in the city, people watched from a tall building, amazed. One man taking a photo had never seen lightning so big. Another wondered if a god was going through a trial, even thinking he saw a person in the sky. At the mountain's peak, the fight ended in a brilliant explosion. Fang Yi had won. A system message confirmed it, announcing he had obtained refined divine thunder power and could now summon heavenly lightning to make his body godlike. He was rewarded with 5 writing points. Fang Yi now floated in the air, surrounded by blue lightning and his golden aura. He understood his new power. The thunder attribute was a top-tier force for both attack and defense. Unlike his sun power, which was mostly for defense, the thunder could refine his body and turn it into intense energy. He decided that the thunder was now his spear and his shield. He also realized the power wasn't just about destruction, it was also about purification and rebirth. He could feel the energy strengthening his bones and muscles without any pain. The system then offered him an upgrade to punish evil, which would grant him double critical damage, asking if he wanted to use writing points to get it. Landing softly, Fang Yi thought about what to do next. His first thought was to put this new thunder power into his Tang sword. He considered it carefully. While it would make the blade stronger, he worried it might mess with the purity of the sun attribute already in it. He also knew that putting too many different powers into one item could damage or even destroy it. Suddenly, he had a brilliant idea. Looking at his hand, he decided to do something different. He would implant the thunder attribute directly into his right hand. The system immediately responded, asking if he wanted to put the thunder attribute into the chosen item. A confident smirk appeared on his face as he gave the command. Instantly, all the wild blue lightning in the air rushed into his right hand as he claimed the storm's power for himself. The next day on the storm-damaged peak of Mount Yuhuang, the immediate danger was gone. Below a cliff, Su Qingying and an army officer named Major Han Li stood over numerous figures in body bags. Su Qingying reported that the contamination zone's energy had strangely dropped from its most dangerous level to a mild level in just 3 hours, though some electricity was still in the air. Major Han Li listened and immediately figured out what had happened. Someone had been there. It was a seeker, a person who actively looks for these dangerous events. Su Qingying was shocked, wondering if another seeker was involved and if they could have survived. She knelt and looked for clues but couldn't sense anything, guessing that the heavy rain had washed away any evidence. She concluded that the seeker must have left the mountain safely around 8 p.m. the night before. Major Han Li agreed with her timeline. The strange event began around 6 p.m., and the army sealed the mountain at 7 p.m., so the seeker must have climbed the mountain before it was closed. He noted that their instruments predicted the danger would reach grade S, but after 8 p.m., the energy suddenly dropped. Standing where the lightning had been strongest, the major added his own theory. He believed the seeker not only survived the lightning, but probably had a thunder-related power, turning the disaster into a great opportunity. He concluded this person was the direct cause of the sudden change. The major then shared his biggest worry. People like this were the most dangerous because they didn't know whose side they were on. Su Qingying agreed, adding that if such a powerful person was a threat, the disaster they could cause would be huge. They had to be found quickly. Miles away, sitting on his couch and unaware of the military operation now focused on him, Feng Yi let out a sudden, loud sneeze. Back on the mountain, Major Han Li made his decision. He gave a firm order to his troops. Find this person immediately, at any cost. As his command was given, he assigned the mysterious target his temporary code name, the Tyrant. The investigation on Yuhuang Mountain started right away. The army hoped the Spiritual Practitioners Association could recruit the mysterious person codenamed Tyrant soon. In the meantime, they would keep all information about the event secret and start their own investigation. On the rainy peak, the association leader told Major Han Li that they already had a high-level pioneer trying to make contact. He then turned to Su Qingying and ordered her to give her report to the major. Su Qingying was caught off guard by the order and gasped in panic. Forced to think fast, she began her half-true report. She connected the current incident to the pioneer who had recently cleared the pollution zone at a local university. Inside, she was panicking, terrified she would say something wrong and reveal her deal with Feng Yi. She explained that she had been trying to contact him, but he was hard to find. She mentioned finding the body of a mutated rabbit he had killed and correctly identified his Yang Flame attribute from the evidence. She finished by promising to do her best to get close to him and find out how he had cleared the university's gate. She silently prayed for help, knowing that mixing truth with lies was her only way to make her story sound real. Major Han Li listened closely, thinking about what a pioneer with a Yang Flame attribute meant. He seemed happy with her report and thanked her for her hard work, calling her a talented young pioneer. Su Qingying gave a sharp salute and replied that it was her duty. With the meeting over, Major Han Li mentioned they would release fake news about natural disasters to hide the event from the public. He also said he disagreed with posting spiritual energy information online where bad people could use it. As the officials talked, Su Qingying quietly sighed, relieved that the tough questioning was finally over. Back at his home, Feng Yi used his golden sun breathing technique to easily dry his white hoodie, making it glow with a warm light before holding it up, perfectly clean and dry. After putting it on, he checked the changes in his body. Even after adding the powerful thunder attribute, he could still feel a clear difference. He looked down at his right hand, which now sparked with blue lightning. It had completely changed, becoming the strongest part of his body and getting a huge boost. As he flexed his fingers, making small balls of lightning appear, he could feel that he was close to another upgrade. What surprised him most was how the once wild thunder attribute had become as calm as a kitten after being added to his body, letting him control it freely. He compared this to the terrible pain he felt when he first unlocked the Yang attribute, and wondered if the energies got weaker during the process. Remembering the system told him this new power dealt double damage to strange and evil creatures. He was eager to test it. His thoughts were broken by a sudden alert from his phone on a nearby table. He picked it up, wondering what was happening now. He had set up special news alerts after the last incident, knowing that in these crazy times, the government would issue warnings to protect people. For a pioneer like him, however, these warnings were more than just notices of danger. In every crisis, there was a chance to grow stronger, even if it meant risking his life. As Fang Yi thought about what to do next, he looked at the major news alert on his phone. The report said a huge explosion had just happened inside a chemical plant, causing a lot of pollution in the city. The official story said no one was hurt and told people to stay calm, but Fang Yi was suspicious of an event this big. He checked online forums, where people who saw it happen gave a much scarier story. People who lived nearby described a super creepy feeling they couldn't explain. One person asked if it was a cold, evil aura, and another quickly agreed. While many were doubtful, the overall feeling was one of dread and fear. The words cold and evil aura felt familiar to Fang Yi. Suddenly, a terrifying memory from his past life came back. A bloody hand and a horrible monster. He remembered hiding in fear from a giant, red, demonic beast as it destroyed everything around it. The creature, a gross, multi-eyed rat-like monster, was a threat he knew too well. Back in the present, he looked serious. He remembered the nature of these creatures. They were plants or animals that changed in a strange way after becoming self-aware, their power going wild and giving them terrifying hunting and killing abilities. They loved to appear in the dark of night. Realizing this new threat was 100 times more dangerous than the mutated rabbit he had fought before, Fang Yi knew he had to do something. Clenching his fist, which sparked with his new blue lightning, he decided he would go out that night to stop these creatures from surviving and getting stronger. Standing up, he was surrounded by blue electrical energy. It was time, he decided, to test his new 200% critical hit ability in a real fight. On a dark and stormy night, rain fell on the empty city streets. As a traffic light changed, a blur of motion sped across the wet road, a squad of cloaked figures moving with amazing speed. These were the members of the Destroyer Squad, and they were hunting. One member reported to their headquarters that they were tracking Anomaly File Number 7, codenamed Candle Knight, but had lost the target. The creature's known ability was to blend into the darkness, making it very hard to follow. The squad member added new, scary details to the file. The anomaly made a faint sizzling sound when it was close and liked to eat humans. As lightning lit up the sky, the squad landed on a rooftop to look over the city. Their leader, a determined man with light hair and a scar on his face, knew the stormy weather was perfect for the creature's hunt. He said with grim certainty that they could not let that happen. Miles away, in a busy command center, an operator got the updated information. He confirmed the new data for File 7. Candle Knight had been submitted. The situation was serious. An extermination request was filed as a high priority, with a goal to solve it in 12 hours. The order came back from headquarters. The Destroyer Squad was to keep chasing the target, but their own safety was most important. The team immediately started the chase again, leaping from building to building through the rainy city. The squad leader paused, looking at a glowing holographic map of the city full of red markers showing active anomalies. He knew that a 12-hour response time wasn't fast, but it was the best headquarters could do. The country was large, and with anomalies appearing everywhere, even their advanced resources were stretched thin. Just as the Destroyer Squad got close to their target's last known location, a warning came from their headquarters. The operator told them that the area they were entering was currently occupied by Spiritual Energy Cultivation Association agents. A photo of Su Qingying appeared on the screen as the operator explained that her team was watching pioneers there and could be asked to help. The Destroyer Squad's leader acknowledged the message and asked headquarters to have her come help, saying he had heard of her good work. Elsewhere, Su Qingying was surprised to learn she had become so famous. The Destroyer Squad waited grimly in the rain. Soon, Su Qingying and her own cloaked team arrived, taking a spot on a higher rooftop. With a hand on her hip, she looked down at the squad below and casually asked if they were the ones calling her for overtime. The Destroyer Squad's leader was not happy with her casual tone. He sternly told her that the Candle Knight anomaly eats people and that this was much more serious than a simple overtime request. One of Su Qingying's team members shot back, asking if that was the right way to ask for help. Su Qingying then turned to leave, saying that the Destroyer Squad seemed so good, they probably didn't need help after all. She announced that her team, the Ying Squad, would be leaving. As they started to go, her team members muttered among themselves, one worrying about their boss's savage attitude and another defending her, saying their own missions were just as dangerous. The leader of the Destroyer Squad immediately panicked and called for her to wait. He apologized for his harsh tone and begged for her help. He explained just how dangerous Candle Knight was, and that without her famous tracking skills, they would be at a great disadvantage. He stressed that if his team failed, the people of the city would be the ones to suffer, as the monster would kill them all. After agreeing to work together, the two teams stood on a rainy rooftop, ready to hunt. Su Qingying concentrated, and a glowing blue ball of energy appeared in her hand. She announced she had found the creature. The orb's energy expanded, showing the monster's location. Hidden in the dark, wet ruins of a chemical plant, the monstrous, multi-eyed rat-like creature called Candle Knight was eating something. Its file noted that it liked darkness, dampness, and eating people. With the target found, Su Qingying gave the command for the joint operation to start. The creature's senses were sharp, and it instantly looked up, aware of their presence. It jumped away, just as an attack hit the ground where it had been. A member of the Destroyer Squad said the target had spotted them and ordered the team to form up. The squad members moved with incredible speed, their cloaks blurring as they chased it. They surrounded the creature from all sides, and with their prey trapped, they shouted together, ready to attack. One of the Destroyer Squad members lunged forward, shouting the order to attack. He hit the creature hard, sending it crashing into a pile of rubble. But instead of being weaker, the monster's body began to change, its back erupting with red sores and black spikes. With a furious shriek, the enraged Candle Knight fought back, creating a vortex of dark energy. Su Qingying desperately shouted for the teams to watch out for the sound wave and dodge. Her warning was a moment too late. A powerful sonic blast erupted from the creature, sending the squad members flying back. The Destroyer Squad's leader was thrown from the rooftop, crashing onto the street below. One of his team members rushed to his side. The leader pushed himself up, bruised but alive. He admitted that if he hadn't moved back at the last second, his bones would have been broken. He knew they were in grave danger. If the creature stayed in the city any longer, it would cause a huge disaster. The battle took another turn as Candle Knight continued to change. It grew large, bat-like wings and let out a roar, its throat glowing with green energy. It then spewed a corrosive, dark substance that filled the air with toxic green smoke. The creature aimed this blast at the ground, trying to melt the street to burrow underground and escape. One of Su Qingying's team members warned her that the monster had a corrosive dark power and that anything it touched would be destroyed. She explained that their team didn't have a power strong enough to fight it. Su Qingying, however, stayed calm. She ordered her team to stay alert and not to mess up the Destroyer Squad's formation, reminding them their main job was to gather information and help with strategy. Meanwhile, a Destroyer Squad member with a dagger prepared to strike the escaping creature. Suddenly, a pair of menacing red eyes glowed from the darkness. The winged Candle Knight lunged forward, narrowly dodging an attack from a leaping squad member. Enraged, the Destroyer Squad leader yelled at his team not to let the monster escape. The winged creature flew through the city streets, chased by the cloaked members of the Ying Squad. From a high rooftop, Su Qingying and two of her team members watched. Suddenly, she sensed a sharp increase in spiritual energy from the creature's direction. Realizing something important was about to happen, she ordered her team to stay outside while she followed it in by herself. The chase led them to a large, dark, abandoned factory. Inside, Su Qingying said she would scan the area's spiritual energy. The Destroyer Squad's leader noticed the advanced watch on her wrist. She confirmed it was a new device from the association, explaining that the watch showed the energy level a squad could safely handle was 50. Candle Knight's reading had been just 48. Suddenly, the device on her wrist began to flash wildly, the reading shooting past 80. Su Qingying shouted that the energy levels were going crazy. At that moment, a massive, shadowy form with glowing green eyes appeared in the rafters above. They had been led into a trap. Su Qingying realized with horror that there was more than one creature in the factory. The shadowy, monstrous face of a new creature loomed behind them. The Destroyer Squad's leader panicked, yelling that they needed to retreat immediately. Taking charge, Su Qingying suggested a tactical retreat toward the main door to force the hidden enemy to show itself. She fired a blast of energy to clear a path, shouting for her team to follow. But before they could escape, she cried out in pain and collapsed, her senses overwhelmed by an invisible poison gas. Su Qingying suddenly found herself alone in the vast green darkness of the factory. She called out to her team, but no one answered. She knew they were nearby, but the poison had made them unable to sense her. Putting the pieces together, she realized the full trap. Candle Knight had led them to this factory, which was the territory of a much more powerful creature, a giant serpent she had only faintly sensed earlier. As if summoned by her thoughts, the huge, armored head of a shadowy serpent with glowing green eyes loomed over her. She now understood that unlike Candle Knight's simple dark power, this creature's black mist was a strong poison, and they had been breathing it in since they arrived. The gas worked silently, paralyzing its victims while draining their